This is The Brief on Trust and Inspire Leadership. So today we're diving into Stephen M. R. Covey's book, Trust and Inspire. And the big idea here is that our old leadership playbook, command and control, it just doesn't work anymore. The world's changed, but our leadership style hasn't. And that's leaving a lot of companies stuck with people who are totally checked out. Okay, so the first big takeaway is this huge paradigm shift. Think about it. Command and control leaders, they manage people like things, which just gets you compliance, not creativity. But trust and inspire leaders, they see their people more like a garden. They know the greatness is already there, like a seed, and their job is to create the right conditions to let it grow. Second, why is this so critical right now? Well, it all comes down to winning. Winning in the workplace and in the marketplace. To win in the workplace, you absolutely need high trust. People are 14 times more likely to be engaged when they have a trusting leader. And for the marketplace, you need innovation, which just gets crushed by fear. High trust teams, they're 11 times more likely to innovate. And finally, how do you actually do this? It boils down to 3 stewardships. First is modeling. This is about who you are, being humble, being courageous, and going first. Second, it's trusting. This is how you lead, giving smart trust, but with super clear expectations and real accountability. And third, it's inspiring, which is all about connecting your team to a meaningful purpose, something bigger than just a paycheck. Ultimately, the future of leadership isn't about control at all. It's about intentionally choosing to model, trust, and inspire to unleash everyone's potential.
Commercial bakeries can benefit from the additional working capital factoring can provide. Contact Chris Lehnes at Versant Funding to learn if your client is a factoring fit.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. So you sent us this fascinating stack of sources about a huge shift in the professional world. We're talking about tearing down, really, the entire old framework of management.
We're focusing on this migration away from what's called command and control, the
Yeah.
CNC model, and moving towards something completely different, trust and inspire, or P&I.
And it's more than just a new buzzword, right?
Yeah.
It's a fundamental change in how you view people.
It really is a total shift in perspective.
So our mission today for this deep dive is pretty clear. We're going to pull out the core reasons why that traditional CNC model is just, well, it's actively failing. And then we're going to give you the practical framework, the actual roadmap for how to put trust and inspire into practice. And this is key, regardless of your title.
Yeah, that's so important. And to do that, we have to start with the context. You have to ask, why now? Why is this so urgent?
Because the world changed.
Exactly. The world has changed, but our leadership style is often, a relic from the industrial age. It hasn't caught up. And our sources point to 5 massive forces that are driving this.
Okay, the 5 emerging forces,
Mm-hmm.
I remember these. Let's start with the first 2. They're about speed and options, right?
Correct. The first is simply the nature of the world. Technological disruption is accelerating like crazy. Some experts now estimate that human knowledge doubles every 12 hours.
12 hours. That's insane. It used to be centuries.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So if knowledge is doubling that fast, the whole idea of a single know-it-all leader at the top is,
Right.
Well, it's absurd.
You can't possibly know it all anymore.
You need learn-it-alls, people who can constantly learn and adapt. And you can't command someone to do that. They have to want to.
And that desire, that motivation, links directly to the second force, which is the nature of choice.
Yeah, we've gone from what was basically a multiple choice job market to one with infinite choice.
The gig economy, remote work.
All of it. It gives talented people options they never, ever had before. If a great software engineer doesn't like the culture, they don't have to quit and find a new office.
They can work for a competitor halfway across the world tomorrow. From their couch.
Or start their own company. So they're going to gravitate to the places that trust them, that value them, that inspire them.
Okay, so that's speed and choice. But what about the human element? The relationships?
That's the third force, the nature of relationships. It's a bit of a paradox, right? We're all globally connected, but locally, people feel more disconnected than ever.
So they're looking for that connection at work.
They're craving it, that sense of belonging, of authenticity. And leaders have to move beyond just transactional relationships.
And then the fourth force is about the actual work we do.
Right, the nature of work. It's shifted from, physical, manual labor to knowledge work, creative work.
And command and control is terrible for creativity.
It actively destroys it. CNC works for repetitive tasks on an assembly line. It does not work for innovation and problem solving. You just can't command creativity.
Okay, and the fifth and final force.
The nature of talent. People today, and you really see this with younger generations, they don't just want a paycheck. They want meaning. They want purpose.
They want to feel like their work matters.
And if you're only managing them for compliance, for just ticking the boxes, you are going to lose that purpose-driven talent.
So with these 5 forces hitting businesses all at once, there are these 2, what the sources call epic imperatives.
Right. First, you have to win in the workplace. Build a culture that attracts and inspires the best people.
And second, you have to win in the marketplace. That means you have to collaborate, you have to innovate, and you have to do it fast.
And C&C just fails on both counts. It leads to stagnation. T&I, trust and inspire, is really the only way to unlock the kind of creativity and commitment you need today.
All right, let's get into section 1 then. Let's really define this relic. Command and control. When we say C&C, it's not just about a bad boss, is it? It's deeper.
Oh, absolutely. It's a core belief system. It's a style where leaders manage people. Well, like, they manage things.
Like resources or equipment.
Exactly. The root of the word manage is about handling tools or even horses. It's a philosophy of containment. It denies that people have autonomy, choice, potential.
And the example of Senior from the manufacturing company in the source material was just a perfect illustration of this.
A perfect and, frankly, a tragic one. Senior was a successful founder, but his C&C style had created this culture of total micromanagement.
And his son, Junior, was ready to take over. He was capable?
Super capable, but Senior just wouldn't let go. And it's crucial to understand he trusted his son as a person, but he didn't trust him to run the business in a different way.
So the entire company was just stuck.
Yeah.
Suffocating because Senior's need for control was a lid on everyone else's potential.
That's the key. C&C leaders can be good people with high character, but their leadership style becomes a ceiling for the whole organization.
And the fuel for this is usually that extrinsic motivation model, the carrot and stick.
Right. The whole if you do X, you get Y deal. That made sense in the industrial age. People were working for survival, for security, the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy.
But that's not what drives knowledge work.
Not at all. Today, we're driven by belonging, by esteem, by self-actualization. A carrot and a stick can't buy you commitment or creativity. It can only buy you compliance.
So even leaders who seem nice and fair can still be C&C.
That's a critical distinction. There are 2 main types. The first is that classic authoritarian C&C that operates on fear, what I can do to you.
The tyrant boss. We all know that one.
Yeah.
But the second one is much more common.
And more insidious. It's called enlightened C&C. This leader is usually trustworthy, they're fair, they operate on what I can do for you and what you can do for me.
It's transactional.
It's transactional. They want their people to do well, but they still don't extend trust. They contain everyone with rules and bureaucracy because they're afraid to let go.
And that fear, that institutionalized lack of trust, it costs so much. The story of the business school dean losing the superstar professor just hammered this home.
Oh, it's such a powerful example. The dean is about to land one of the best minds in the field. They're ready to sign the contract.
And it falls apart over a plane ticket receipt.
A single original paper receipt. The policy manual wouldn't allow reimbursement without it, and the institution wouldn't budge.
So the dean, who obviously trusted this person, couldn't override the system.
Exactly. The system was designed to prevent fraud from a tiny minority, and in doing so, it penalized everyone. The professor saw that and he walked.
He saw it as a profound lack of trust in his own integrity.
And the school lost all that talent, all that innovation over a receipt. That's C&C in a nutshell. Rules over people.
Which makes the need for this change so clear. Okay, let's pivot to section 2. Trust and inspire. This is a completely different way of seeing people.
It is a radical reframing. T&I starts with the belief that people have greatness inside them. Think of it like a seed.
Okay.
The sources use this amazing analogy of the Death Valley wildflowers. For years, the ground just looks dead, barren. But then, when the conditions are perfect, just the right amount of rain, the right temperature, these seeds that were there all along just explode into color.
So a leader's job isn't to make the flower grow. It's to be the rain.
Be the rain. Curate the conditions. You have to see people as whole people with a body, heart, mind, and spirit. Your job is to unleash that potential, not control it.
And there's a roadmap for
Yep.
this, right? The 3 stewardships.
A very clear, actionable roadmap. It starts with number 1, modeling. It's all about who you are.
This is earning what you call moral authority. It's more important than your job title.
It always speaks louder than your title. And it comes from 2 things, your character and your competence. You have to be good and be good at what you do.
And the sources break this down into 3 pairs of virtues to model. The first is humility and courage.
That's the classic level 5 leadership idea. Extreme personal humility, it's not about you, combined with a ferocious professional will. They give credit away and they take the blame.
The second pair is authenticity and vulnerability.
Yeah, authenticity is being who you say you are, but vulnerability is the key that unlocks it. You have to be willing to be seen.
Apologize when you're wrong.
Admit you don't have all the answers. That's what builds real connection.
And the third one, empathy and performance. You can't just be a soft leader.
No, you have to deliver results. But empathy is like the oxygen people need to get there. There's that incredible example of Princess Diana in the 80s during the AIDS crisis.
When there was so much fear and prejudice.
So much. And she just publicly, intentionally went and shook hands with AIDS patients.
That one act of modeling compassion and courage, it shattered barriers.
It changed the conversation. She used her position to model empathy. That's what T&I leaders do. And that modeling earns you the right to move to stewardship 2.
Which is trusting how you lead.
And this is where we hit the biggest roadblock.
The trustworthy person who doesn't trust others.
That's the #1 hurdle. We think because we are reliable that we are trusting. But if you won't delegate, if you can't let go of the how, you're still in C&C.
So T&I leaders have to choose to extend trust first. But that feels so risky. What if people fail?
That's the fear. But this is where the concept of smart trust comes in. It is not blind faith. It's a disciplined, accountable process.
You have to be crystal clear on expectations.
Absolutely. Think of the green and clean story from the source. The father trusts his 7-year-old son with the whole yard.
Right. The standard was simple. It had to be green and clean. But the how was up to the boy.
And that is the critical part. The accountability wasn't the father checking his work every 5 minutes. It was the boy judging his own work against that clear standard.
And that builds ownership, pride.
It replaces supervision with accountability. Which brings us to the final stewardship.
Stewardship 3, inspiring, connecting people to the why.
This is about moving people beyond just satisfaction or success. Maslow himself later added a level above self-actualization, self-transcendence.
Significance.
Significance. People want to contribute to something bigger than themselves.
And the Indra Nooyi story, the former CEO of PepsiCo, is just a fantastic example of this.
It's so powerful because it shows what it means to see the whole person. She started writing hundreds of personal letters every year, not to her executives,
but to their parents.
to their parents, thanking them for raising such wonderful sons and daughters.
Wow.
Think about what that does. It connects their professional success all the way back to their personal foundation. It says, we value all of you.
And that inspiration also comes from connecting day-to-day tasks to a bigger purpose, like the parable of the 3 bricklayers.
Exactly. You ask them what they're doing. The first one says, I'm laying bricks, a job. The second says, I'm building a wall, a career.
And the third says, I'm building a great cathedral.
A calling. That purpose transforms the work. It's the janitor at NASA who, when asked what he did, said, I'm helping put a man on the moon. T&I leaders communicate the cathedral.
Okay, let's talk about the biggest obstacle, the fear. I can hear people listening to this and thinking, but what if I lose control?
It is the #1 psychological barrier, but it's based on a false premise. C&C doesn't actually give you control. It gives you the illusion of control.
What do you mean?
T&I creates internal self-governance control, which is infinitely stronger. If you trust people against a clear standard, they police themselves.
And that's absolutely vital for remote and hybrid teams. You can't be looking over everyone's shoulder anymore.
And the C&C response was, monitoring software, basically micromanaging from a distance.
Which is so demoralizing.
It is. The T&I tool to get past this fear is the stewardship agreement. It's perfect for a dispersed workforce.
So how does that agreement work practically?
It's a mutual contract.
Where?
Leader and team member. And it clarifies 5 things. First, the specific results to be achieved. Not the tasks, the results.
Second, the guidelines, the rules of the road. Don't break the law, don't go over budget.
Exactly. The don'ts. Third, the resources they have available. Fourth, how accountability will work. How will they report progress? The consequences, both good and bad. What happens if they knock it out of the park, and what happens if they fall short?
That agreement completely changes the relationship. You're not a supervisor, you're a coach.
You're focused on results, not methods. And we see this working at scale. I mean, look at Eric Yuan, the CEO of Zoom. He had a 99% approval rating from his employees.
Almost unheard of.
And his philosophy is simple. He says, without trust, we have no speed. With trust, we move fast.
That really sums it all up. This entire deep dive has been about these two competing philosophies. You have C&C, which gives you compliance at best.
And then you have T&I, which unleashes commitment, creativity, and speed.
And it really comes down to a choice. I think it was Gandhi who said leadership isn't a position, it's a choice.
It is. No matter your title, you can choose to be what the sources call a transition figure. You can be the one who breaks the old model and starts building trust right where you are.
So to leave everyone with one final thought to mull over. A lot of people hearing this, especially if they're in a really rigid organization, their first reaction is probably, this won't work here.
It's the most common barrier. That mindset puts the blame outside yourself, on the culture, on the system.
But the whole T&I philosophy flips that.
Factoring can meet the cash needs of staffing companies looking to expand. Contact Chris at Versant Funding to learn if your staffing client is a factoring fit.
Factoring can meet the cash needs of small businesses struggling with tariffs. Contact Chris at Versant Funding to learn if your client is a factoring fit.